What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. We are coming at you with a very special bonus episode this week. If you listened to last week's episode, you knew this was coming. If you did not, surprise. I am here with Molly and Beckie from Talk Miley to Me, their podcast that covers all things Miley Cyrus. And we are going to break down track by track, lyric by lyric, sound by sound, the whole nine of Miley's newest album, Something Beautiful. So welcome, Molly and Beckie. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Of course.
Hi, guys.
I know, this is so exciting. I love when I have like other podcasters come on because I'm like, you guys get it. You know, we can like be like, hey guys, and we don't sound insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. So we had like commented on each other's things, I feel like on TikTok a few times here and there, like a year or so ago. And then we all were at the Something Beautiful screening and like you guys knew someone I knew and like we happened to see each other and we connected there. And I was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, we got to get on the show together. We have to do this album analysis because we have to do it. And I'm so excited to have you guys. If anybody is new to their podcast, you guys want to give a little background of like how it started, where it came from, like what obviously we talk about Miley, but like what kind of sparked starting it?
Yeah. So we met through a pizza restaurant. We actually worked at the same restaurant, and that's how we became friends because I saw that Beckie had a Miley Cyrus phone background on her phone, and I had almost the same exact photo. I think it was like the same era of Miley Cyrus, but a different performance.
It was the same or like the same photo shoot or something. They were very, very similar. And at the time I was like brand new to the crew. So I was like shy. I wasn't like being my full personality yet. I wasn't going to let everybody know that I was like a huge Miley fan because as we know, this can be polarizing, right?
Yeah. It's like, when do you let the stand card fly? You know, like when am I allowed to like slip it in there? I totally get that.
Exactly. So Molly saw my phone background and, that was really the beginning of the friendship.
And the rest is history. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
so I
ahead,
I had to talk to her and I said, look, I also have a Miley Cyrus phone background. We became friends that way. And then I feel like maybe almost a year into our friendship, I had always had this desire to have a podcast. I love podcasts, but I had never really figured out like what my niche could be exactly. And I had a hard time figuring out what that could be. And I realized I just had all this Miley Cyrus knowledge that I just had in my brain from when I was like eight or 9 years old. And that's when I decided, what if we did a Miley Cyrus focused podcast? We talk about her art, her music. And I thought of Beckie immediately because Beckie was also in PR. So I have a marketing background. She has a PR background. So we kind of get the same kind of thing when it comes to that. So I feel like that also could have made it really easy. I told Beckie to meet me at our local bar. Our college bar. So we both went to the same college and I had like a notebook, pen, paper ready to go. And I had like this whole idea and it was going to be called Miley, Moscato and More. And we were going to talk about, this is so funny. We were going to talk about Miley Cyrus and drink a different bottle of Moscato every episode. But we were also going to leave the more parts that if we wanted to talk about other pop culture stuff, we weren't like too niche, but also pretty niche. And Beckie, what did you think of that actually? Were you like on board immediately?
No, we definitely, I think I was like, the like portion of like the drinking, we're like, yeah, that would be so fun. And yeah, no, I was definitely on board immediately. And yeah, so that's how we started. We started with Miley, Moscato and More. And I think that might have lasted for a year, or maybe even 2, right? And it got to the point where it got really hard because drinking a bottle of Moscato every week, that gets tough. And we started out in person, right? So we would share a bottle of Moscato, and some of our very early episodes, you're like, oh, wow, that's where the alcohol hit them. And it does get pretty silly, but no, it took a toll because Moscato can be a lot.
Yeah, totally. It's like sweet. It gives you like that head rush.
The headache the next day is just not worth it.
And then you're like, I have to edit. I have to watch this all back. You're like getting the headache as you're watching it back.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
I'm sure Molly had plenty of those.
Right.
But in addition to that, like, go ahead.
I was going to say the headache from just like we talked about earlier before recording, setting up the podcast as a new podcast. I had no idea what to do. I had the editing and that under my belt, but the production of it, I'm still pretty new at it. But even back then, I was totally YouTubing how to do things.
Always.
how can we do 2 microphones and 1 computer? What is this audio MDI setup thing? It was,
Yep.
yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
There's a whole like crazy world out there where it's like these questions you would never even think of, and you find yourself Googling these. I find myself in these like podcasts, like dark holes sometimes. I'm like, how did I end up here? Like, how did I end up Googling how this podcast mic wire plugs into this and the connectors you need? And I'm like, well, all in a day's work, I guess.
No, literally.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
But in addition to all that, like the more of it all, the Miley Moscato and more got really hard because we are not like that much into all of the pop culture scene to like keep up with the stuff. So
it's a lot. I know.
We really need to lean in.
Know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we were like, let's just lean in and like get really niche, and we're going to lock into only Miley Cyrus. So that's when we went ahead and rebranded to Talk Miley to Me, which has just been like extra fun. And we've been doing like a lot more deep dives that Molly's like really good at putting together and like researching. And never in my life did I think that Miley Moscato and more would lead us to getting invited to a Spotify event in New York for it. So, but here we are because of it all, right?
I know. And now here we are. Yeah, it's so cool. It's crazy how the universe works. I always say, I'm like, when you like look at it at like a close lens, it's like, yeah, I'm talking to a microphone in my living room once a week, you guys and your little setups, whatever. But then like you get these cool opportunities and we get to meet each other and we get to make connections. And I'm like, it's so cool. Like the way you're like, you never know what's going to happen just by turning on a microphone or a camera and like hoping for the best.
Exactly.
I love it. So obviously Miley is the name of the game, the woman of the hour, the woman of many of your hours, as your podcast is all Miley, which we love. When did you guys become Miley fans? Were you like, I personally was like, Hannah Montana premiered and I was like, oh, I'm hooked. Like I am in, which I think a lot of people our ages all kind of were just like, she had that like it factor and pull. Was it Hannah? Was it like a Miley thing later?
Yeah, I would just say for me, it was Hannah for sure. I specifically remember seeing, this is so weird, but before I even saw the show, I saw an online video game on DisneyChannel.com that was like Hannah Montana. Yes. And I think it was something to do with her wardrobe, like building her outfit. But that was actually the first time I saw Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana. And then that led me into what is this show? And it definitely was the first season, but I don't want to sit here and say it was the premiere of Hannah Montana because I know for sure it was like I saw this game online and then that led me into questioning like, what is this? She's stunning.
Right. Yeah.
Iconic 12-year-old. I want to be her when I grow up. And then here we are.
I remember just like watching the first episode and being like, this is like, what it was so interesting to me that it was like this premise of like this pop star or whatever, and like I was so into like the idea of the show that I didn't even realize that I was like, oh my god, wait, there's like somebody behind it more. And it was like, I always say like Miley was kind of like the first like not first TV turned pop star, but like for our generation it was like such like a huge thing because she really was doing all of it. And like we had seen Britney, Christina, everything, but like they weren't doing where they were playing a character that also fed us music. So it was such like I did a whole like Miley deep dive on her entire discography a few weeks ago, and like going back to it, I was like, we really got like such a cool deck of cards with her when she got introduced to us. What about you, Becky? When were you hooked on Miley?
No, with me too, it was Hannah. And it's a silly question to me because I'm like, well, yes, of course it was Hannah for people our age, but there are people our age that haven't really latched on until recently years. But yeah, for me, it's definitely Hannah. And Breakout was like my favorite album, like on repeat constantly as a child. And so then I did like kind of follow her, and I definitely remember like Bangers era when it was like, oh, we've got some people that liked her as Hannah Montana falling off. And that like made me want to hold on stronger. I'm like, no, I want to be part of the scandal of this and I'm going to stick with this girl. Yeah,
totally. Bangers came out right after I graduated high school. It was like, I remember We Can't Stop premiered literally like one of my last few weeks of my senior year. And then I graduated and then it came out later that year. So it was like going into college. It was like shedding this new skin. And I was like, Miley's an all new girl. I'm an all new, like I am just going. Like I was obviously not to the extent I wasn't going crazy partying. I was 18, but it was that like same idea where I was like, oh my god, like Miley just shed the skin. I'm graduating. It was such like a weird synopsis. Perfect. But yeah, I remember so many people with Bangers. They kind of were like, It's a little. They were either like fully in or it was a little too much, and like there was like this back and
Yes.
forth, and I was like, I can't get enough. Like I was
Yes.
all there. And Bangers is my favorite Miley era for sure, and like I've always just loved it. And really leads me to my next question: what are your favorite Miley eras? I know you said you loved Breakout, Becky, but is that your favorite era, or you just hold a special place in your heart? But like, what's the era that you're like, this was top tier golden Miley Cyrus?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the breakout has a special place in my heart, but I mean, you can't top bangers, though I'm living for what we've got right now. I'm really loving our
Same.
current era, slaying the house boots down
That part.
every single
Hmm.
day. I can't handle
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. What about you, Molly?
Yeah. Yeah, I think also going back to something beautiful, this era, she's just so full circle now. Like she has all of the best
Yeah.
qualities we have seen from previous eras all at like one time. But if I have to think about a previous era, just to be different from you guys, I would say Plastic Hearts. But
Yeah.
in recent interviews, she's kind of been shedding not the best light on Plastic Hearts era, which is making
Yeah.
me rethink my answer. But the
Yeah, no, it's
aesthetic
crazy.
of Plastic Hearts, though, I loved it. Like
It was a really
Mhm.
The
cool, like,
Rock,
yeah, for sure.
yes,
And then like the Super Bowl performance, like it was so like edgy and like cool and like it was such like it's crazy to say a new look for Miley because it's like she's done so many new looks and I have that in my notes for later we'll chat about. But like it really was this like, oh my God, it felt so correct. So it's crazy to hear these things
yeah,
of her being like,
I
I
know.
didn't love that album. Cause to me, I was like, this made the most sense at that time, but also like,
Yes.
was it just the fact that we were locked inside and wanted a new Miley album just to get us by? Like, it's so interesting to hear her take on it.
yeah. And I feel like every
Yeah.
time she really goes all into these like eras, like Bangers and Plastic Hearts, um, that's when I feel like we really love it the most because it's like
Yeah,
she's building a whole world, not
right.
just music, but like how she looks and how she's presenting herself. What is she doing outside of
Hmm.
music? And I think that's why I really like Bangers and Plastic Hearts the most.
Totally. I love it. Well, like we did say, something beautiful has been quite literally something beautiful this era. It has really been
Yes.
like we have been so fed. And it's not just like she's doing press, press, press. It feels so selective of what she's doing. And she's really like making sure she's I mean, performing at the Carlisle or performing at Chateau Marmont. Like she's doing these like higher profile events and like she's going on like she was doing that interview we're talking about the every single album. She said she was like, I picked this. I wanted to come on. And it really
Yeah.
we're in as people who have been Miley fans for so long and have really seen every single possible side of this woman. Like we have really seen so much of her changing and evolving and whatever. It's been so rewarding to see. It just seems so like authentic to what she's like, no, I
Yes.
finally figured it out. And like she said this in the past, and I've been like, she finally and I'm like, no, this time I think we're all seeing the realest Miley we've gotten yet, and I am loving it.
Yes.
I
No,
completely
exactly
agree.
everything you just said.
It's so
Yes.
good. So, like I said, if anybody is new here, hello, welcome. I do these episodes every time there's like a big album release. What I do, sometimes I bring a guest, sometimes I just do it solo. We go track by track, breaking it down. We pull in some moments from like interviews, we pull in some past lyrical references, and we kind of just chit chat about the music and what we think it means, how we interpret it. You know, it's all fun. It's all just for our silly little pop culture brain to get scratched as we're diving into this album. So, without further ado, let's hop into this masterpiece of an album because I personally cannot wait to chat about it with you guys.
Masterpiece. Let's do it.
All
Yes.
right. So we kick off with a prelude, which is fun. I think it's a fun way, especially with the visual album, to really kind of like set the scene. It almost like opens the curtain to the album, you know? And it's something that
Mhm.
we like Miley doesn't usually do. Usually we just get like the opening track, it's kind of just like hits the ground running. So when the track
Yeah.
list came out, even watching the visuals, I was like, oh my gosh, like she's really the interludes and the prelude and everything we get, like it really felt so intentionally done. And I had written down in my notes that it sounded so hypnotizing. It almost felt like we were like in a trance, like while we were listening to it. And I can't wait for everybody to watch the visuals with it and like see it come
I
to
know.
Oh
life
my
because
gosh.
I'm seeing a lot of people who were at the listening party that we were at or who have seen it now at Tribeca. They're like, oh my God, the album really, it's great on its own, but it really comes to life in the visuals. I remember watching the prelude being like, oh, we're all getting into something. Like as it kept going, it was just so mind blowing to me. And I love what you wrote in there, Molly, about the EMDR treatment that she was getting. And if you want to go into that a little bit, I think that's such a
Yeah.
fun little tie in.
Yeah, and we were talking about this, I think, on a previous podcast that we did. But there was something that clicked in us with Prelude because Becky had always said, like, what is she going on about? Like this train and like
Yeah.
what does she just keep what's like this, And for a while we were like, yeah, it's really cool. It's very cinematic, but like we didn't really completely understand
Hmm.
what Prelude was all about. Like obviously it's a good setup for the rest of the album, but we just didn't really know the underlying reason on what she was saying. And I feel like it's due to the fact that she went through this like EMDR therapy, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. Which I don't know too much about, but she's talked about a lot in a recent interview and how when she went through it, they had her like envision herself sitting on a train
Yep.
and thinking of her life like passing by, like each scene is a scene from her life. And
Hmm.
she kind of goes on a lot about it that I won't get into, but it basically this therapy helped get her past her stage anxiety
Right.
that we saw her go through a lot in like 2022 with when she did
Hmm.
the attention tour.
Yep.
So I feel like that process and that therapy that she went through really directly inspired Prelude, which might have inspired the rest of the album or helped her
Right.
get through it maybe. But that's
And
kind of my theory with that.
totally. And I love like these images, like you were saying how like you didn't really get it at first. You're like, what do you mean? Like, what is like that? I think as
Yeah.
I was listening, because I felt the same way, but I was like, it's like I'm into it. Like it's cool. And like it's
Yeah.
kind of just like giving us these like visuals or painting a scene. And like as now that we have the album and I listen to it more, I was starting to connect like certain things in the album of like, okay, this ties back to that. And she talks about the fistful of ashes, and she has a line about dancing in the ashes later in the album. And the whole idea of like staring at yourself in a mirror and screaming your name in an empty room. It's like she kind of romanticizes this idea of like being alone and like how you can find the beauty within it almost, which is funny because as you listen to the album, she like and so many of her songs are so much about like how she is such like a lover, and like when she loves somebody, and obviously she's very
Hard.
not, I hate to, not codependent because she's not, but she's very much like when she's with a partner, it's like all in. So like to hear her kind of
Yeah.
Yes.
singing about this idea of like screaming your name in an empty room or looking at yourself in a mirror, like those are such things that you obviously can only do alone. So I was like, it was interesting to me to listen to it and be like, oh wow, like this is something she's kind of dipping into a few different themes with that. And now that we have the whole album, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can kind of connect the dots of like what was like that. Cause I had the same idea. I was like, what the hell is she singing about? But I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'll let her do it.
Yes, exactly. Like when she first released it, like she was very intentional on all these releases, right? Like we got every song, we got all four of them, the
In
start of them
order.
in order, and that was very intentional for her. But to have this be the very first taste of her brand new album, I was like, what?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
I didn't hate it, but
No, of course
when we
not.
got Something Beautiful and then eventually End of the World, like Prelude was not something I was going back to.
Yeah.
Once we viewed the film and then got the full album, like Prelude is so important. Like you have to get it, and you don't get it until you've heard everything else, until you've seen the full film. And now Prelude has a very special place in my heart because of everything that you've just described about it. And yeah, you're right. It does like trickle into the rest, and it sets you up for the rest of the album in just the most beautiful and perfect way.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
interesting getting a visual album from her, and like an album, like obviously all of her projects are so well rounded, and she really does like a good job at kind of like putting them like in like, this is the project, it's, a whole cohesive piece of art, whatever it is. But this more than ever, it's like there's a visual aspect. The album, like the songs bleed into each other. So when she was releasing the
Yeah.
songs individually at first, I was like, this is so interesting because as somebody who I'm also a huge Beyonce fan, so like when we get a Beyonce visual album, when we got Lemonade, it was all at once. When we get, it's like
Yeah.
rare to like get a full rounded project like that is so kind of bleeds into each other. So at first I was listening to these songs and I was like, how does this all fit in together? But then again, I was like, trust the process. And like you said, like
Yeah.
now you go back to these songs, you're like, wait, it all clicks. I get it all now.
Yeah.
So from there, we lead into the first like full length track, Something Beautiful, the title track, which I always love when an artist has a title track because immediately to me, I'm
too.
like, this ears up, listen in, like this is what we really need
Yes.
to digest from the album. And like, besides the lyrics, anything else, hearing the song for the first time and like the vocals and the way it changes and has these like crazy, almost like this like explosion and the experimental sounds, and it slows back down. I was like, we need to buckle up with this track.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The reaction videos of people hearing this and like literally getting startled with the like the break.
Yeah.
Incredible. Who
Right,
else is
no.
doing
Same.
that?
No, it
I was
truly
also
was. I was like,
jumping.
whoa, yeah, like what is going on? And again, I love the way it slows down, and then we get that chaos. And like, when I remember my first listen to it, I was like, all right, this album is going to be in the most respectful way all over the place, because that's what
Yes.
she wants it to be. She wants it to be this chaotic, and then she kept calling it like a pop opera. And as soon as she said all of that in the press, I was like, boom. I literally, what is it? Flash, bang, boom, whatever she said. I'm like, boom, I get
Yeah.
it. Like it's all coming
Yes.
together. And even like the lyrics in here, like where she's saying, turning water into red wine, it's something, turning nothing into something beautiful, and like finding
Yes.
the beauty in something so simple, or like I said in the prelude, being alone. And there's like all of these little like like metaphors or similes, and we're back in English class with her little comparisons, but it really like
Yes.
helps paint the image of what this album is. And I think there's so many fun little nuances throughout the album that really just like carry these messages.
Yeah, I completely agree. When I was listening to her talking about this song, I thought it was really interesting at how much of a hand Ryan Beatty had, and
Yes.
specifically this song, and that he wrote some of the best lyrics on the
Yeah.
song.
Mhm.
Like this one that you just talked about. And
Mhm.
on a side note, I need to get into his music because I just don't know anything about Ryan Beatty, but I feel like he's this like musical genius that's just
Right.
no
He's
one talks
always
about.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, no one talks about him, but I feel like he's always part of something
Yeah.
big.
He's somehow always in the room.
Yes, yes.
Well, because
Um,
he's a genius, because he gave us the best lyrics on
Right.
Something Beautiful
Yeah,
here.
I thought that was so
Yes.
interesting too, that she was like, I knew exactly who I needed to call. That's again like
Yeah.
what this album feels so intentional. Like she knew who needed to work on this, who needed to be there for what
Mhm.
songs. Like she must feel so like proud of this project for the collaboration she did, because she's always a collaborative artist. But this album, it really feels like she was like, nope, I want this person to help with this person I should call in for this, because she knows herself and she knows what she wanted to make. And like from the clothes, and from, she said she brought the fabrics to the producers to be like, this is what I want it to feel like
It
and
to
sound
sound
like. And like that was
Yeah.
so, it was just so cool to me to be like, this process for this album was something so different than we've gotten from her before, because she really just went the full, like she always goes the extra mile, but this time she really was like, no, I'm giving everything to this entire project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even the director,
Yeah.
she loves the movie Mandy, and she
Yep.
had that director on that film, and then she got introduced to Sean Everett, which was like the main producer for this,
Mhm.
through I think a mutual, and she just took both of those two collaborators and put them in the same room, and they just work their magic. It's just really interesting how she just brings all these different people from all these different areas of
Mhm.
entertainment and then puts them together, and it creates something beautiful.
Yeah, she was talking about that. I was with Bangers, how she was bringing in like Mike Will with like all these other producers who like wouldn't go together, but she was like, it's all people who respect each other. So the fact that they all
Yeah.
know what they're capable of, they might not walk down the same path of music. One's rap, one's maybe more this, more pop, more that, whatever.
Mhm.
Like she knows, hey, at the core, we are all music nerds and music geeks or visual geeks. We're gonna get
Yeah.
each other's vision, and like it's really, she has a really cool camp around her right now, I feel like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally agree.
I also love the line she said, I drown in devotion as deep as the ocean. I think it's such a beautiful way
Yes.
to say like she is so committed and dedicated to somebody. And as I said, we know like when she loves, she loves. Like she is so
Hard.
in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
she loves really hard. So I just, whenever she talks about the way she loves somebody, even later, like, let's pretend you're God, like, there's so many, like, ways that she talks about loving something or loving somebody or a relationship that is just so poetic. And, like, it's such a, she has such a good way with her words, as I'm like jumbling mine. I'm like, wow, Miley Cyrus can write these beautiful lines. And I'm like, what am I saying?
No,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. And even like the flashbang spark, it's so simple. I know that was right. Like they came up, that wasn't her who came up with it, but like when it did happen, like it just clicked. And like when I first heard that, I was like, oh, cool. All right. We're getting like, she's getting just fun with like the ideas of like these sounds and these different chaotic things happening. And then from that, the flashbang spark goes into the end of the world. And it's like, that's what you hear when the world ends. Like it's so cohesive.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense. It's so beautifully done.
Oh, it
And
gives me the chills to think about.
I didn't even for the longest time, I didn't even connect the two, the Flashbang Spark into End of the World. And then when I finally got it, I just felt like the biggest dummy because I was like, well, duh. I was like, duh. But I love that all this music like really makes you think.
Right.
At the end of the day.
100%. Anything else on Something Beautiful, or shall we get into the End of the World?
I mean, I thought this was interesting. She said I don't want to talk about it for too long, baby. Now I think I do. And then going back to her previous album, An Endless Summer Vacation and Jaded, the first lyric in that song is, I don't want to call and talk too long. I know it was wrong, but never said I was sorry. These are the type of things that I don't know. I doubt they're intentional, but like, are they? You know, like sometimes she has these lyric crossovers from different eras that I'm like, I wonder if that was intentional or like a coincidence.
I have so many of those throughout this album, and especially like with like rose-colored lenses. There was a lot of her talking about the like idea of like pretending relationship is great or whatever. You know, it's like she's like has these rose-colored lenses on, and I'm like, I don't think these songs are connected in that sense, but we do see these same themes kind of throughout, and like it's fun to be able to tie them back, and like even if it's not intentional, like we see it and we're like, okay, wait, where you can kind of make them like sister songs by yourself, you know?
Yeah.
She has so many sister songs, and that's one of my favorite things about her. It's not that she keeps writing the same music.
Oh, of course not. No.
Just that the same themes, like she keeps writing the same themes like as she's growing up, and it just keeps evolving. And like that one, she's like, no, I'm not going to call and talk too long. And now she's like, let's hash it out, bitch.
Yeah, there's a theme that I see on this album, and I'm jumping ahead a bit, but it just kind of speaks exactly to that, where she's saying, she's like, angels are real. I've seen them. And then you think back to like Plastic Hearts, where she's like, angels like you can't fly with me. She's not talking like she's like, no, I can see the angels are real, and like I've been to heaven. Like she, you know, it's like you see this growth within herself where yes, she's talking about these same themes, but she's now having this reflection and looking at herself in the mirror, and she's looking back at her old self almost, and it really, you get to see these like full rounded things come about. You know, she would talk so negatively about herself in the past, about how she's an angel like you specifically, like I can't be with you, like I am not the right person for you, you know? And now she's saying, she's like, no, like we're gonna ride through this together, like we are the ones going through heaven and hell together. And like to see her growth in that sense, it always sounds so parasocial when I say things like this, and I don't mean it to be, but it's like,
I know
we are so parasocial.
She gives us these lyrics for this reason, you know? And it's like, it's so cool to be able to look back just 5 years ago at an album that came out. I mean, we just looked at Endless Summer Vacation that came out 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. It's like, that wasn't that long ago either. And just so cool to be able to tie these together and see, it's almost like a check-in. It's like, all right, cool, I've grown. Here's what I've done and how I'm kind of bettering myself in that sense.
Yeah, which is such a special thing, like as people who have followed her whole career, to be able to recognize these things. But what's beautiful about her songwriting is that you don't have to know these background things to think that those are incredible lyrics and that it's a beautiful song. Yeah, you really you can be like a surface level fan, which is totally fine, or you could deep dive like we're doing and be like, nope, this and this and this and this interview and this article and da-da-da. It's like, it's so fun to be able to play around with it. Yeah. Moving into track number 3, we have End of the World, which personally to me, I think this was the strongest of the songs that we got released prior to the album coming out. This, I loved Something Beautiful. I loved the Prelude. I loved everything that came out before the album. I loved, but End of the World, as soon as I like finished it, my first listen, I was like, here we go. Like I'm getting not that I didn't get the vision or I didn't like it, but I was like, this is just such a standout song on its own. And I think it just really, if I had to pick like one song, I feel like to really kind of encapsulate the entire album, I do think this would be the one that I would pick. Really? Just because it covers so many of the themes. It covers so many of the like the world ending and how like she's kind of seeing the ends of either as the world, or if you think how she is so all-encompassing of a relationship, her world ending could be a breakup. So it could kind of be played both ways because her world's going to end. But then we do get this idea of like, let's celebrate though. Like if it's going to end, let's have fun and let's enjoy it. And like, let's fully just go for it because the world's going to end, whether it's the actual world or the relationship or a friendship or something's ending. She's always kind of seeing the silver lining we've seen. And like, you think, I mean, her house burned down and now she's like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, it's like, she has this like idea of like, yeah, it sucks at the moment. And she's definitely crashed out one too many times, which like she admits, so we can say it. But like, she really does kind of always
find this way to be like, okay, well, this happened for that reason. And I just think this song has such a beautiful message of so many different things she's been through. And I just love the way it kind of speaks for the album.
You're
No,
right. And the
absolutely.
era, really, that speaks
Yeah,
for the album and the era of everything that she's been talking about. Yeah, you're
totally.
so
Yeah.
right.
And I
And I
love,
feel like,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, I was going to say,
No.
you talked about her seeing the silver lining in like everything. And that's a big theme of what she talks about in many of her interviews. She does the same thing with even just like the creation of this song, because when she created it, it was started out as like a heartbreaking ballad, right?
Hmm.
You wrote down like she talks about her mom, and
Yep.
she even says like the song was made from just being a little bit ridiculous of her mom went on vacation for like a week in Italy and
Yeah.
they weren't together. Like it's so dramatic and she
Right.
understands that. But that's where the song started, was like, let's pretend it's not the end of the world. She says, you've been thinking about the future like it's already yours,
Hmm.
talking about like mortality with, she's not going to have her mom forever.
Right.
But then it turned into this like banger to where it's like poppy and upbeat and you can dance to it. It's just interesting that she turned something kind of very sad and almost morbid into something beautiful, but also
Right. Boom.
just like more exciting and more of like a happy song rather than a sad song.
Totally. Yeah. And I even wrote how she's saying she's like, the sky is falling like a comet on the 4th of July. And it's like the world is literally ending. But she's like, let's go out on the town. Let's celebrate. Let's dance. I know we're skipping ahead a bit, but she has the whole thing about celebrating our love. And she like McCartney with some help from our friends. Like she's fully just like ready to shit is going down, whether it's her mom in Italy without her and she's depressed about it or something happening. Like she's finding this like, you know what? It's gonna happen anyway. We might as well just pretend it's not the end of the world and just hold me as if tomorrow's coming. Like, like let's just like
Yeah.
fully embrace this moment and really live in the now. Which I think from what we know from her and how she's always said, she's been in the spotlight since she was literally 12 years old. Like she's never been
Literally.
able to be so present. And so to see her just taking like any kind of ways to be like, no, we're going to be in the moment right now, celebrating what's happening today. Whatever happens tomorrow, the world could end, the sky could fall, my house could burn down, this could happen. She's like, it's all happened, it's gonna happen, life's gonna happen, let's just enjoy what's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love also how she says like the let's go down to Malibu, whatever. And she talks about how Malibu, the song, but also just what it means to her. It was with Zane Lowe, she was saying how like Malibu is, we all know, I mean, obviously it was such a huge part of her life. It's literally the lead single from Younger Now. Like it's huge. It was her comeback and it was this thing. And we know that Malibu was such a special place in her heart, but also kind of a dark part of her life, some of her best moments and her worst moments there. And she was saying though, Malibu isn't always a place. It's a feeling. It's being surrounded by people you love. And I love that like is something she's always kind of made so important to her. This song, I mean, her and Tish are like connected at the hip. And this song sparked because she wasn't around, because she wasn't feeling like she was in Malibu, because her mom wasn't around. She wasn't surrounded by the people that she loved. So again, kind of that like storytelling and that building that she does upon different themes and messages, because we all know what Malibu means to her. But again, a fan or like a general fan could listen to this and just be like, oh, Malibu, haha, I know that song. But like,
Right.
and it
True.
goes, yeah, easy, surface level. But then we can dive in and be like, no, we know that like XYZ happened, but she still has this silver lining to it, which again is this kind of message of like the whole song and the album.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her
Absolutely.
lyrics in this are so good. And you pulled out the bridge, which
The bridge.
The bridge.
may I say maybe the best bridge we've ever gotten from Miss Miley.
Is
maybe
incredible. I love it.
It's so good.
The vocals, I mean, she's always going to sound great on a track. So every time I like write something about her vocals, I'm like, yeah, no, I literally wrote in my notes, fork found in kitchen. Her vocals sound great. Cause like, of course she sounds great, but it's like, I'm always just like, it just always kind of like takes me to another level. I'm like, how does she keep doing it? Like maybe because this isn't shade, but like maybe because she doesn't tour and she's not straining her voice so much that like she's able to just like build upon it. Like it really just like takes us to a whole different whole different place. And my favorite line from the song is in the bridge, paint the city like Picasso would have done in his dreams. I just think that is so beautiful and
Stunning.
we know she's like an art geek, and obviously with this album it's so visual. So anytime I hear her singing about an artist or like something visual, like bringing that to life, I just kind of like pay attention to it a little bit more, because I'm like, I know this is so important to her and the visual of this. And when I heard that, I did a reaction video to this that's on my YouTube, and like I heard that line, I literally was like, I need to pause for a second, because that is so beautiful. Like it's just a stunning lyric.
I love, this is kind of a side note, but I love Fork Found in Kitchen. I've never heard that sang before.
Oh my God, really?
I haven't, but I love it. I'm going to start using it.
Yeah, it's like when something like so obvious, it's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, we found a fork in the kitchen. What? Obviously it's there.
I'm obsessed. I'm
love
going to use
that.
it.
No, please do. I always see, I feel like it was like TikTok or Twitter I would see it on, and I was like, I'm adopting this because I just like it's such a funny thing to say.
Yeah. Becky and I love those things, so we'll definitely be using
your
it.
little one-liners. Yeah.
Oh, we'll beat that one to the ground. You'll be sure of it.
I'm the same way though. Like I get a line and I'm like, I'm gonna say this anytime I can, and my boyfriend or my friends will be like, they'll like know it's coming, and I'm like, it's just fun, you know? It was like a little punchline.
I know. That's too funny. But yeah, beautiful song. Love
Beautiful. Yeah, literally my last note on it, I said, the song has such a celebratory feel to it, despite her literally singing about the world ending. I'm obsessed.
Literally.
Yes.
Moving into track number 4, we have More to Lose, which again was a song that we had before the album came out. And this song is very just like, again, the idea of like she is willing to fight and stay for any lover as long as she needs to. In one of the interviews she did, she says, I added my harmonies or ad-libs at the end, but it's really a song that's more of a story, and I never want that to be interpretive or overthought or chasing perfection. I never wanted More to Lose to feel perfect. I wanted it to sound meaningful and emotional, which I think is such a, this song specifically, I mean, it's devastatingly beautiful, you know, which is, again, something that we hear throughout this album. And I love the fact that she said, she was like, this isn't supposed to be a perfect song, you know, where I'm not chasing that idea of like, everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be down to the wire. And we get that rawness in her vocals so many times throughout this album. But hearing that quote and then listening back to this, I was like, oh, wow, you really do feel the emotion in this song. Not more than the other ones, but this one specifically really packs that punch.
It's not so fine-tuned.
Right. And this song is like the definition of a Miley Cyrus ballad to its core.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, like our girl, like that is her favorite thing to do. If she could, she'd release an entire album of just the saddest ballads you've ever heard in your life.
Truly.
Then she'll take them and, you know, turn it into the bop that we have of End of the World. But like, this girl can write a ballad, and this may be the best one that we've gotten ever.
It's so good.
It's so good.
In the first verse, she says, we're toe to toe, but I'm on a wire, stumbled down this road before. So immediately to me, I'm thinking this has to do something, probably, I'm assuming, with Liam, just because we know that it's, though it has been so many years ago, and like we do know some of these songs were written years ago, whatever. Again, I hate to be that parasocial, but think about how many times they walked up and down that goddamn road together. Like, metaphorically. And like, it's I always admire when an artist can still put these feelings of somebody in the past. Obviously, she's with Max and she's had plenty of partners since, but like to hear her still be able to sing about things, and it's like she does it in such a beautiful way and in a way that like it could be applied to anything. But again, that kind of deeper level of like knowing her past and knowing what she's been through, like I hear it and I'm like, wow, like we're kind of still hearing these kind of love letters from past, ghosts of Miley past.
Yeah, like she's still drawing inspiration from that experience, even though she's probably totally over Liam. You know, she has Max, and
of course.
But I love that she's still able to draw from those experiences, because I do think this song was written more recently.
Was it?
So I think
I'm like bad with like remembering when everything is written. Like I try so hard to be like, all right, this was then, but like
no, but it's hard because she does like she'll take like Golden Burning Sun, which was written years ago, or Easy Lover, which was written in Plastic Heart. So it's like you never really know. But I think she did say in an interview that she spoke to Dolly Parton about this song and like maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and that she had not even completed the song yet.
Yes, you're totally right. Yep.
Yes, but she was like, it's called More to Lose, but then she hadn't even written it yet. So then she went back.
Dolly was like, where's the hit? Oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Yes.
And I feel like this song deserved more. I'll say that about every song, but
right.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because I feel like the world does really love a Miley ballad.
Right.
But I don't know if it's just in conjunction with the end of the world going into this. I don't know.
Yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
it's tough to get a ballad out on the radio.
It
yeah,
is.
for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, even like when I think like, I feel like ballad wise, I mean, like when I look at you, it's big. Like people like do that. But like as far
Yeah.
as like getting a ballad, like people love them. But yeah, like getting into like the general
It's hard.
public and like especially in today's world when like everybody just wants a 15-second TikTok moment.
Yes.
When is this?
They're like slow burns usually
Right.
too. Like
Yeah. Well, Angel Like
Angels
You.
Like You.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we're in sync there.
Yeah, a few years from now, people be like, "Where is this band?" And I'll be like, "Here's a link to my podcast episode that I recorded in 2025."
No, literally. That's how I felt about Angels Like You. I'm like,
Yeah.
how is this just now popping off?
I know.
It's too funny.
Getting into the chorus, because I think some of this writing is stunning. She says, "I stay when the ecstasy is far away." And again, that idea of her really just like letting herself, oh, like she loves so hard. And like, even when the ecstasy is far away, like she's willing to fight for a relationship. In that interview that where she was in the every single album, she was saying how when she released Younger Now, she wanted to look pure and wear white and, you know, be somebody else so Liam would come back, because they had fallen out during Bangers, despite somehow making it through Dead Pets, which that, you know, you can't make it through Bangers, but you can make it through Dead Pets with her. Very,
Literally.
Right.
you know, work, I guess. But but hearing her say like, yeah, like Younger Now, like I put that out because I was afraid of losing Liam again. So she dressed in all white and she's like, I'm younger now and I'm, you know, I'm this and whatever. And she was saying I'm protecting the Hemsworth name because of Chris and, you know, the whole thing. I just thought it was so interesting to think of how like she really will go and do whatever it takes to make something work, and like she's not a quitter. And she talked about how Tish and Billy and how she thought that like had her parents they probably knew by the third date it wasn't going to work, but they stuck together because she's a Southern woman and she's going to stick by her man.
Submitted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like,
Yes.
I've never thought of it that way, and I never thought of
Me
it like
neither.
being a Southern thing. But yeah, you think like people in the South, they're like, and I hate to, you know, assume and put it in a
No,
box,
yeah.
but it's like that traditional, you stay
Yes.
together despite anything, and like you're there to make your man happy and whatever. And it's like, yeah, like sure, but you know, it's definitely a different way of thinking, at least from like what I grew up with. You know, it's like if something's
Yeah.
not working, get out. But
Bye.
she had,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
it's like catch you next time.
Literally.
And that she did. But it's
Yeah.
I thought that was such an interesting like parallel in that, you know, how she's so willing to stay to make things work.
Yeah, she's like very committed to whatever she's doing, for sure.
Fully. Yeah. Moving through in the second verse, she says, memories fade like denim jeans. I try to chase when you're running through my mind. The idea of like holding on to any
Love it.
memory and anything, even though she knows it's ending, is heartbreaking.
I know.
Yeah. That lyric gets me. It's one of the most beautiful lyrics, and it's so simple. It's really, it doesn't even seem that thought out, to be
No.
honest. But the way
Mm-mm.
she sings it, and that it comes in the verse too. So
Yeah.
good.
It's so
Yeah.
good. And this is kind of where it comes into the idea of rose-colored lenses, where like she knows, let's get lost in Wonderland. She knows things are ending and like let's play pretend and act like everything's fine. When she says the line about like TV's on, and I forget the exact lyric, but where she talks about like TV's on, but my tears are streaming, and like she's sitting there acting like everything's fine, watching their shows together and going on about life. And it's that idea of like she knows this isn't gonna work. She knows there's an expiration to this relationship, but she's so willing to fight for it. And again, that idea of like tying it back to a past album is rose-colored lenses and this song about the same person. I don't know. Who knows? And like, who knows, you know, how they kind of tango together, if they do at all. But like these ideas that she takes these same messages and these themes that she's able to evolve with, or just kind of keep consistent on her albums and still write about them in new ways and different sounds and genres and lyrical production choices, things like that. It's impressive.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And then I saw your note, you said, with the na-na-nas. Yes.
My all-time favorite part of this song, the part of the song that really had me, because I mean, like, I thought it was beautiful at first, but it's like the last minute and 30 seconds. It's when the quote bridge starts.
Yeah.
I don't know if I call it is a bridge technically, but it's just her saying na na na.
Yeah, well,
Singing those.
I had noticed like there's not a bridge to this song, which like you
Yeah.
look a lot of times in songs you look to the bridge to be like the like the peak of the song. It's like this is the breaking point. This is like the
Yes.
full whatever. And to me, the like the lack of a bridge makes it almost be like, oh no, go back and listen to the verses, listen to the chorus because they're so
Verses.
strong that they
Yeah.
really just like speak for themselves. I can just beautifully show off my vocals as we point out, and like you get the message, you know?
Yeah, I almost feel like the way the production changes in the last part of the song is almost serves as the bridge because the saxophone comes in. There's a key change in the
Yep.
last chorus. I feel like it just takes it to that height that the bridge
Yeah.
usually does.
Mhm.
I just get chills watching it. And even in theaters, like we all saw that film early, and the last part of this song, the visuals are so intense.
Yes.
And well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but it then goes into like interlude 1, and that transition is my favorite transition.
Mhm.
I think it's I'd have to watch the movie again or the
Yeah.
film again to really determine, but I think it's my favorite transition of the entire album. It's just, at least from a visual perspective, not
sure.
necessarily sonically, but yeah. And then when she adds in that it's coming around again, but it don't, baby.
Mhm.
Oh, that little ad just elevates the rest of the song.
It just like boop, yep, pops it in there, and it's like just one last little thing to
Change.
throw in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's my
Yeah.
favorite part of the song is the ending.
Yeah, and I love they do kind of bleed into each other with the interlude, but like you said, that is the
Yeah.
first interlude and transition that we get on the album. So I remember sitting in the theater and being like, knowing we were getting these, like knowing that it was coming kind of, but like not knowing exactly how she was going to do the whole thing of it. Cause I was like, is it going to be like, could the album and the movie in itself, like there are certain parts that do bleed into each other, but then there's some that kind of like, they cut to like the title and it kind of switches, which is, I think it's fine. You know, you can't tell a whole story the entire time. That's a lot
Yeah.
more work. But I remember
Yeah.
watching this and like that going like, and she goes into the dressing room and like she has the whole like thing, and I'm like, oh, this is going to like she's really setting us up for like a full rounded moment right now. And like you said,
Yeah.
it was your favorite, and the way that this you can like hear at the beginning, it's like the world is burning. There's like a sound of like chaos almost at the beginning, and then it kind of builds. And then that was the first part of the listening party or viewing, whatever it was called, where I was like, oh, she's taking us to that place. Because at this point, we didn't know where it was going, and we just had these first 3 songs when we heard it, because we heard it first week of May. It was right. It was like right after the
Yeah.
it
So
was
early.
the day after the Met Gala. We heard it because I remember I recorded
Yes.
my Met Gala podcast episode and I had to run downtown to go. I was like, I'm busy. But we up to this point, all we had were those first few tracks, and that sitting in the theater, I turned to my friend that I was with and I was like, here we go. Like we are kicking it up a notch and it just keeps building from here. And I told so many people after, because everybody was like asking whatever, I was like, what you have heard and what is to come for this album are two completely different sides. Like they could not be more different, but still it all somehow makes sense. And that's what's most impressive to me, is how it starts at one point and by the end you're in a completely different album, but you can still tie it right back to Prelude or to Something Beautiful, and like it still has so many similar parallels.
Yeah,
really and
completely
truly, like the labeling them of Act 1 and Act 2, like they are completely different acts, and in a way that's much, because she did this with On the Summer Vacation, she titled it AM and
Yep.
PM,
Which I loved.
And, like,
I loved that concept.
Loved that too.
too.
But here we get this like taken up a notch. Like
Yes.
Act 1 and Interlude 1 is like, oh, you better get your seatbelts on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you better
It's-
strap in because here we go.
That's how I felt. Like actually, because I was not only like obviously at that point we hadn't heard anything past this point. So like I was like, all right, this is all new now. Like, really tune in more because it's something new. But like sonically, visually, everything about it, I was like, oh, she's taking us to another planet. Like we are teleporting to something else, which ends up being Easy Lover, which I think is just phenomenal. Before we get into the song, that it was interesting that this song was actually pitched for Cowboy Carter for Beyonce to take. Crazy. And I mean, as somebody who was a huge Miley and Beyonce stan, I mean, having Two Most Wanted was just like
Oh, I
mind-blowing
bet.
for me. But like
Yeah.
knowing that like there was so much other, I would love to like have been on like those conversations or like see the text or email and be like, what were they talking about? Because even she said Two Most Wanted was called Shotgun Rider, and like they all had different like names or things like that. It's just so interesting to me. And I
It
love the fact
is.
that she kept the Tell 'em B, even though it was supposed
Yeah.
to be Beyonce. She just changed it to, instead of BEY, now it's B for Brittany Howard. I was like, that's so fun that like she kept it and like was able to incorporate it. And this was one that I thought was good to note just for this, for our purposes, that it was written around the Plastic Hearts era. So it's good to kind of keep that in mind of like what she was going through and how she kind of took it from where it started to where it goes.
Yeah. I
Yes.
would die to hear Beyonce sing this, but boy, am I glad Miley kept it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Beyonce would obviously murder it. Like it would be
Yeah.
Yeah.
fantastic. But like I do think, but I also like I think of like I don't know if you guys are big Ariana fans, but she has REM, which was originally a Beyonce song. So like there's the Beyonce demo of it that went around, and then we have the Ariana one, and like hearing the differences in the two, it's so interesting to me. So like if there is a Beyonce demo, not that anything Beyonce does ever leaks, but like I would love to hear that demo of
Give
just
me
like,
it
yes,
right
Yeah.
like
now.
I won't share it. Just let us hear it. We'll keep it in the Zoom. We won't tell anybody. Like I would love to hear how they would have done it differently. Cause I'm sure, I
Yeah.
mean, thinking Cowboy Carter and Easy, like it was not,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, there'd have to be a
Yeah.
lot of tweaks to it.
Mhm.
But like we said, this is like the first total change up from the first three tracks. And I love the way it totally changes, but it still has that like kind of that like not soulful, but that still like it has, again, it is still part of Act One, so it has that feel to it where like it does still feel like the beginning of it, but we get that like ramped up a little bit. And there was
Hmm.
such a shift in the visuals, and like she starts to like walk. And the first three are kind of like more of her just like singing in a space. This one we kind of see her start walking to the dressing room, and we see that like finally that moment with the pants, was out how many years ago? Which
No,
like
literally.
when I
Right.
saw that, I was like, finally, we can put those pictures to rest because we see where it is.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
Becky and I thought it was for Beautiful That Way at one point.
Yeah.
Her song for the last showgirl, because
Uh-huh.
it kind of gave that
It gave
vibe a
that
little bit.
idea. Yeah.
We had so many theories that we were so wrong on.
And I'm like, finally, we
It
can lay it
was
to rest.
Yes, I
Yes.
know that was so exciting.
And then we get that crazy visual of her like at the top, almost like those like the tears and like the dancers. And it was just like such like a shift there. I loved it.
Yes. The
I love what
choreography.
Yeah, I love what you say about how it kind of gives you like the bangers production if you want to go into that.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like I'm always talking about this to Becky because I feel like we've just recorded so much about this. But
Yeah.
the first time I heard the song, the first thing I thought of was her song On My Own off of Bangers. It has
Love.
that same like country pop production, and the way she's so like sassy in her vocals too.
Mhm.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's also very prominent on Easy Lover. But
Sure.
a lot of things that Miley will do Southern
Mhm.
accent to it, or like the country
That
inspired
twang.
production.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why it would have been perfect also on Cowboy Carter, but
Totally.
also why it fits Miley so well too, because she is from Nashville, like
Yeah.
that is in her roots. But the way that they're both able to make it a pop country song would have worked either way.
Yeah. So getting into the lyric, she says, I love to hate you, but I can't stand it when you're gone. So I call you once every hour. Kind of like a cat and mouse game we're seeing. She's like
Yeah.
she hates when you're there, but hates when you leave, and like kind of can't, find her footing there. Which kind of again speaks to this idea of her knowing like she knows she's not perfect, and she knows that like she is part of the problem. But I appreciate on this album that she doesn't just blame everything on herself, which we kind of see in the past with some of her music, where she kind of says like,
Yeah.
I am the root of the problem. And like, I mean, obviously she talks her shit when she needs to and puts men in their place or any of her partners in their place when she needs to. But we see a lot of like self-deprecation almost with her over the years of her being like, I'm the problem. I'm hard to love. Like I used to be young and I'm not that person anymore. I used to be crazy, but now I'm somebody else. And like, that's why I wasn't lovable, or that's why all these things happened to me. So to see her kind of on this album, she has this like turn of like, no, like we kind of are doing this cat and mouse game to each other, and it's like we're kind of playing this game together.
Yeah. And then the tie me to horses, that's
Yeah.
Becky's favorite lyric is tie me to horses and I still wouldn't leave. Is it not?
Guys, what does that mean? No, it's not.
I've heard you sing that so many times.
Oh no, because it gets stuck in my head, but I don't know that's another one where I'm like, what are you going on about? And I've seen another podcaster, a guy that does reactions, and he's like, I do not know what that lyric means. And I'm like, oh thank God.
To me, I feel like it's definitely a crazy graphic, but I'm like, she's like, tie me to a horse and let it run, and like let me like be out to like hang me to dry, like let me run, like let them stampede over me, let me go, and like I still won't leave you. Like you can literally, I mean, maybe this is just me taking it too literal, but I'm thinking her like literally like strap me up, let it run wild, go on a stampede, go crazy. Like you can put me through the ringer, I'm still not gonna leave.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I think that too. Like I'm imagining her on a horse. Yeah. Which on a horse you can go anywhere very far and she still wouldn't leave.
Right. She's like, I'm still going to come back around. And that kind of speaks to the idea of like, she's saying like, hey, this person is sending me on this like wild ride, but I'm still going to come back. Where like, they're the ones who are also the problem. And, it's not just her who's hard to love or causing these issues. Like, she's like, you're putting me through hell. I'm still coming back.
Yeah.
And so, but when she's singing all these things, all these lyrics, it's like still feels like a healthy relationship to me compared to
you're too funny.
I'm like, well, yeah, that's fine.
I think there's like elements of like I see what you're saying because it's still like, okay, yeah, this could be like it's fine in that sense, but I think she is so dramatic and so like theatrical with everything she does. I mean, she literally, we'll get into it with Walk of Fame, she was like, the reason I was tweeting in third person is because I wanted to be announced. I'm like, girl, it's a tweet, but like live for that. Girl. But like she's so theatrical and so all about it that like she definitely, not to diminish anything that she's gone through, but like she's definitely gonna like make the most of a situation and like whether it's a positive or a negative way, you know what I mean? Because that's just literally, she's a child star. Like she's meant to be dramatic because that's her entire life,
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Oh, just no, you go ahead. I'll say something at the end of Easy Lover.
Okay. In the second verse, she says, I decided I wanted to keep dancing in the ashes, which I immediately thought of the callback to the Prelude, where she's like, it's like throwing a fistful of ashes, because that's something that's not permanent, but she's still gonna relish in it, and kind of similar to the idea of end of the world. It's something's happening, it's ending, something's shifting, but I'm still going to dance in the ashes of this burnt relationship or whatever it may be. It just, that immediately kind of tied back to it. I just think like the song is just so like sexy, it just has that bass line at the beginning. And like, I just picture her like walking into like a fancy like bar or something and like swirling a glass of wine. I mean, obviously, it's, or swirling whatever she's drinking these days, but like, just like I want like a glass of red wine, like swirling this like on a balcony or something, listening to it. It just makes me feel so like a bad bitch.
Yes, the beginning of this song, seeing the visual, but like just sonically too, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a hit. Yeah. It just gets you going. So it just, it makes you, that was a perfect way that now I need to experience doing that with, a glass of red wine. But
I'm like, I just want to, Miley and Merlot, we'll bring it back.
Period.
Miley and like Malbec. We'll do like a red wine. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I
love that. That's so funny.
Which, by the way, was on the docket for when we were workshopping the names. But
oh, what? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
No, but this song, like, it just gets you moving. And if you would have told me a year ago, 2 years ago, that I would be doing a TikTok dance to a Miley Cyrus song.
I know.
Miley Cyrus with choreography. I know. Incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I love that she's leaning into that and giving it to us, because she is such a great performer. She does have it. But I think she does, rightfully so. Again, fork found a kitchen, the girl can sing. Like she has, her vocals can stand for themselves, so she doesn't need to do the whole, I love a pop girl. I love a choreography moment. I love like a big production. She doesn't need to do all of that. She's Miley Cyrus. She can she can stand at the Carlisle and sing with the piano, and I'm captivated, which is not something I need the whole thing, like I want the lights and the cameras and the fire and the Bangers tour. I was like, this is perfect, because there was so much to it. Like I love that. But she doesn't need to do all of that. She can just, her vocals can stand for themselves, which when she started doing this choreography in these videos, I was like, she's,
I
I was like,
know.
I don't even ask for this from you and you're doing it. I'm like, this is crazy.
I know. I
Yes.
was like, the last time she did choreography, we were talking about it in a podcast, was in the Younger Now music video. But
Oh my,
like, does
yeah, the
that
like
count? You know?
yeah,
Yeah. But
the
like,
like
I have a
yeah,
theory. Yeah, that I feel like that was the last time, right? But I think it's
yeah,
because when she was on Hannah Montana, she did so much of that,
yeah.
that production, that
I mean, those
everything
hips
is the
were back
show.
and forth for Nobody's Perfect every single episode.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which I lived for, but I feel like maybe she got burnt out on that. And then she just wanted to get to like the music, the art.
right.
But now I feel like she's just letting herself, like, not every single song on this album
Yeah.
is choreography, but there's like Walk of Fame we'll get into. There's some choreography
Mm-hmm.
on there too. She
Right.
like pieces it where it's meant to be.
She's very, again,
Yeah.
intentional with it, which I think is what makes
Yeah.
this whole project just such a step above the things that she's done. Whether somebody agrees this is their favorite album or best album, like, all of that aside, like, you have to at least look at this album and this project and be like, wow, she really took that extra step where,
She did.
I mean, her fans are gonna listen, like, we're gonna whatever,
Yeah.
like, regardless. But she was like, no, I really want to go that extra mile and give the visual and give a little dance or pull out these archival Mugler, like, crazy things that she did to just like make this project so much more like the cherry on top. And it just,
Yeah.
it was worth every penny, every moment, every minute, every second, everything she did to make this album what it is. Chef's kiss. It paid off.
Yes.
I love it. Anything else on this before we transition into Interlude 2 and Golden Burning Sun?
None for
Let's
me.
get into
Let's
it.
let's keep this party going because this is where I feel like the party's really picking up.
Yes.
Interlude 2, I didn't have much to say. Obviously, it is just an interlude, but it really does like teleport us into the second part of the album. And like I was saying earlier, I really appreciate the way that these interludes do just kind of take you from one point to the next without it being too jarring. It's not like she just
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
from like a slowed ballad to like a rash crazy song. Like, she gives you that warning almost. She's like, just so you know, this is happening. Like, we're taking you to another part because the Easy Lover is sandwiched between the interludes. So it's really just like
I
the
know.
interlude, Easy Lover, and another interlude. So listening to it, you're like, oh, that's interesting. We're already going somewhere else. But it adds that extra layer of like, oh, we're going to another planet now. And it works so well, which leads us into Golden Burning Sun, which is a lot of fan favorites. I think there's obviously that tie back to this song being leaked or whatever. So whenever it came out so many years ago and knowing it already, that was like the one I got the most questions about when I originally went to the screening. They were like, is it the same? Is it whatever? And I was like, no, not at all.
I was,
not at all.
Becky knows I love Golden Burning Sun now. It's definitely in my like top part of my ranking.
Yeah.
But I was someone that did get the leak. I didn't get it, but I was scrolling on my Twitter and I was a victim to it.
Yeah.
I opened up a video and it was playing. I don't really like to listen to leaks if I don't have to,
Yeah,
but
I agree.
sometimes they're just given to me,
Yeah.
And I loved it so much. And I was
the original or this version?
both, but at
Okay.
first only the original.
The demo,
because I
yeah.
remember going into this viewing party and being like, I was asking Becky and someone else that we were there with, I was like, do you think that Golden Burning Sun's going to be on this? Because I like love that song. I really hope it is. And they're like, I don't know. I think that was for Endless Summer Vacation. I'm like, yeah, you're right. When I saw it pop up on the movie theater, it said Golden Burning Sun in that text.
Yep.
I grabbed Becky. I was gasping.
Obsessed.
She could
Yes.
attest. I was like, are you kidding me? And then it was something completely different. And I think I was so shocked at the fact that it was so different
Mhm.
that I couldn't really enjoy it in the moment,
Yeah.
because it was
Right.
so much at once. But since we've gotten the album now and I've been able to, constantly re-listen to
Compare.
the songs, I love the new version. And I think it
I
suits
love the
the
new
album
version.
so well.
I agree.
Yeah.
The demo was
but-
beautiful, and I see the direction with that as well. But similar to the idea of like how Easy Lover could have been switched up to be for Cowboy Carter, like she does allow these songs to really be painted so many different ways. So when
Yes.
similar to you, like I knew the demo, like I was familiar with it, and when it popped up on the screen, I was like, no fucking way. Also, this is totally a tangent. Maybe you guys would know because you are more niched into Miley. Do you remember literally, I feel like it was as soon as we walked out of the listening party, the viewing thing, the track list was on Twitter with like
No,
the
literally.
font.
Immediately.
Was that just somebody who was like made it? Like, cause it was literally like the exact font, or like did somebody like post it? I was like, what the hell? I
No.
was shocked.
I think somebody there made that and posted
Just
it
like quick.
because I was really hesitant to talk about it on our
Yeah.
podcast because I was like, I remember asking Becky, like, do we talk about the track list? Do we do that? We have people that want us to, but then we don't want to spoil it. She's like, well, it's already been posted on Twitter. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. It has been
That's what-
circulating.
I felt
And
the
I
same
remember
way.
listening to yours and you were like, I don't want to spoil it too much for you guys. Because I think I listened to your podcast like right after that event happened. And you were talking about your experience a little bit.
Mhm.
And I was
I
like,
did the whole
I remember
Miley thing the next week.
yeah, I was like, oh, I don't know if Becky, maybe we should not have talked about it. I don't know. It was a hard position to be in.
It really was, but it was wild because you're right. It was like
So quick.
immediate.
I was literally inside the theater because I got stuck. I mean, I say stuck. It was a great position to be in, but I got stuck. I couldn't leave. Like I was leaving later and like they blocked us off before so Miley could leave and I was inside. So I didn't even leave the theater yet. I opened my timeline on Twitter and I saw the track list in the font.
Yeah.
I was like, how did you I don't even with the movie, the credits are rolled. Like what? I was shocked, and I was like, maybe Miley World posted it or something. But yeah, it must have just been a fan in there. I didn't think of this, but people were like taking notes. I was like, that's so smart. I wish I like broke out the Something Beautiful notebook.
Same.
I was like, why didn't I think to do that?
No, same. I didn't even realize it was a notebook because I was just so like tunnel vision.
Yeah,
I didn't even really look through the bag at all.
I was like, that would have been like I saw someone post like a picture of their notes. I was like, why? Like,
I know.
Am I bad at my job, like being a podcast host? I was like, why didn't I think of that?
I thought the same thing, but then also sometimes I think too, like, I'm glad that I was just focused and I wasn't.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So pros and cons to both, but I was the same way. I didn't even know there was a notebook in there.
Yeah, I know there was so much happening. I was like, I need to just get in there and like go with the flow. But anyway, I remember when that happened and everyone was freaking out over Golden Burning Sun. I was like, A, how do we know that this is out? And B, how did they make this so fast? Anyway, sorry for the tangent.
No, I agree.
Yeah, this is such a beautiful song, what she made of it now and what it's come to. I think it's just such a beautiful moment on the album to just like, it obviously still has the, like, it's not that it's not Walk of Fame, whereas that like pose, whatever, but it does kind of like take us to another place sonically. And I think it's beautifully placed also in the album placement. I think it keeps the flow of the album going really beautifully.
Well, she takes us there on the motorcycle.
Right, literally,
yes,
truly. Which the Britney reference, I was like,
yes.
Oh, I saw that and I was like, oh, she did it.
No, it was so pretty. I did have like an idea where I was imagining the end of the World going into this song, because at the end of the World, there's that like bright light.
Yeah.
So in another universe, I feel like that could have worked out, the being next to each other. I don't know how the rest of the songs would have went around them.
Right.
That's what I struggle with.
Miley to me director's cut.
Yes. Yeah. In my cut. That's, I would have put those next to each other, just seeing the visual of End of the World. Cause you get this like bright light at the end of that music video. And I remember before we got More to Lose, we were actually, I think, Becky, we were theorizing. We were like, I wonder if that's going into Golden Burning Sun.
Yeah.
And this is before we even knew for sure it was on the track list, but I had this obsession with this song. That I was like, Golden Burning Sun's on this, because why else would there be a bright light in her face?
Right.
And then it goes, but it's still worked out great, but that was my director's cut. Yeah.
So lyric wise, a lot of the lyrics are similar to the demo. Like it's a very similar in that sense, but obviously the production. But diving into the lyrics, she says, I had a dream and saw a vision. We built a house that we could live in. I immediately go to Flowers, where I built a house and watched it burn. Now it's kind of that flip side where she's like, no, I'm imagining the house that we built and we can live in. And it's not that idea of like, wow, my last relationship, or, however many relationships ago, like we built a house and watched it burn. Now we're building the house and the world might be burning around us, but we built this house together and we are in it. And I just love, again, that growth that she shows there in that lyric. Moving through, she says, I know we're young, but we're growing up. Obviously, if we look back to I Used to Be Young, it's a nice switch up, because and Used to Be Young, which is not that long ago, but she was saying, she was like, I used to be young, and she almost has like a rebirth. She's reborn, dare I say, on this album, where like she's getting like another lease on her life. It feels like she's not in that moment of like, I know I used to be crazy, I used to be wild. It's because I used to be young. She's like, no, I am young. Like I still am relishing in my youth, and like she is obviously young. She's only in her 30s, but she grew up so fast. So like she must
Right.
have that crazy feeling with her youth and like just youth in general, because she didn't really have a childhood. You know, she was
Right.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus from like the jump and just skyrocketed, which I'm so thankful for. But you know, it definitely is like
Yeah.
her youth. And whenever she sings about, I mean, she had a whole album called Younger Now. Like she obviously has this weird play on feeling young. So hearing her say like, I know we're
Yes.
young, but we're growing up. Like it just like it made me feel like, all right, cool. Like
Yeah.
she's enjoying this time in her life. She's not rushing it. She's not looking back too much. She's living in it, almost in that presenceness that we kind of talked about a little bit earlier.
Yes.
Um, also kind of the idea of like her career, like she says so many times where she's like, I wanted to release in that every single album. She was like, oh, they wanted the album to have a hit, but I wanted to release this thing. And like, she kind of like,
Yeah.
this kind of gave her like another look on her career, I feel like, and be like, no, I am Miley Cyrus. Like I am putting out this album and like, it is what I want to do with the label. And it seems like she's in a good place creatively with her team where like they understand her vision, she sees like their vision, and like how they kind of can meet in the middle almost in that sense.
Yeah.
So it just feels all around, I just feel like things are just looking up in that sense.
Yes, I agree.
And then we get to the chorus. She says, you're the only one under the burning sun. I think back to Something Beautiful, the great golden bomb, she says.
Yeah.
And there's that idea of like the sun and the end of the world. And this is now the only person under the golden sun who like, yeah, the sun is burning and the world is ending. But again, I'm with you. That's all that matters. And that idea of like that beautiful, it's like a dark, twisted, beautiful theory she has that like her lover and her are the only ones that exist in that moment, and the world can end and everything can burn and the sun can be exploding, but I've got my partner, I'm in love, I'm all set. I just, again, the
Yes.
way that she's able to continue to like sing about being in love, it's just fabulous to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
agree.
think that lyric is like one of the most beautiful depictions of love that she's ever written.
Totally.
Yeah.
She goes on to say, can I have you if I ever let you down? I think back to Never Be Me, where she talks so much about like she puts the relationship failures on herself. And like she's saying, she's
Yeah.
like, I can never be who you want. But now she's asking, can I have you even if I let you down? Where previously we hear her singing about how like, if you're looking for someone who can be all that you need, that's not me. Now she's kind of,
Stable. Yeah.
yeah, she knows like, hey, this is what I'm capable of. I can't be everything to you all the time, but this is what I'm
Yeah.
capable of. Can I still be with you under this burning sun, even if I let you down? And, you know, she feels a little more confident, I feel like, within who she is and where she is in that kind of, you know, personal life sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We already kind of talked about this, but quickly, just the whole angels are real. I see them coming, but they will never catch up if we're running. I kind of tied that back to Angels Like You, where she was talking down on herself. Now she's kind of saying, hey, angels like you can fly with me. Like I see them, they're real. Like it's not like this foreign concept of like, she is the worst thing, you know, she can't even see an angel flying up there. And she's like, no, I see them, they're real. Like, again, that
Yeah.
idea of like, she has more of like a self-love, it feels like, and she's really able to put herself on a pedestal and be like, no, I am worthy of this. I am worthy of something beautiful. Even if the world is shit and is burning down around me, at least I know like I am worthy of this relationship because of who I am and what I can contribute to it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love the depth that you've pulled from all these lyrics because
Thank
again,
you.
like as a Miley stan, like yeah, these are things that we've seen her write about and grow through. But I also think that this song is just a perfect like surface level love song
Yes.
that's really like tangible for the GP to
Yes. Yep.
enjoy. And so when people are asking me about something beautiful for just the regular person, I'm like, you would love Golden Burning
Yes,
Sun.
'cause it's
and that's
very-
like the one that I've been pushing.
I
Me
think
too.
it definitely has that like that. This sounds so bad, but like that radio listener ear, where like
Yeah.
it can just like you could put it on. It has that like catchy melody to it. Like it is fun, but
Like
yeah, there's-
Malibu.
exactly. It's very
Malibu.
It does kind of have that same, not the same sound, but that same
Just
like
easy listening.
yeah, totally. And like she has beautiful vocals on it. She has a few runs for us, what everybody wants from Miley Cyrus, and then but you know it is like you said, it's digestible to everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything else before we get into Walk of Fame, which is my favorite on the album?
It is. Yeah. I'm
Yes.
excited to get into this one. This is an interesting one.
I love this song. And what I noticed while I was listening to it specifically for this purpose. Like obviously I had to listen to the album tons of times before I sat down and like brain dumped into our document. This is the first song on the album where she's not singing about a relationship and she's kind of just singing about I'm me. Like I am Miley Cyrus, hear me roar. And one of my favorite genres of music, of like sub niche genres, is when an artist just sings about being that bitch. Like Seven Rings, Ariana. Like I love when an artist just is like, let me take a second and remind you that like I am me. Like everywhere Miley Cyrus walks is a walk of fame because she's Miley Cyrus. You know, it's like I love that she gave us this moment of just like, hold my bag. Let me just have this second and like be like, no, I am Miley. And like when she talks about speaking in third person on social, she was like getting announced. It's just so fabulous. And this song is just so, even this is my favorite visual on the album as well as my favorite song. I just like the sound of it, whatever. Like it just is so fabulous and gives me that like, not old Hollywood glamour, but just it's like glamorous to me. And I think that at Miley's core, she is so glamorous. And like she goes into it a lot more now. Like she really leans into it, obviously now, but like she is such like a designer, jewelry, like flat, whatever. She loves the glamour of all of it. And I think this is such like a good depiction of it. And she says like a star isn't meant to be announced. You don't introduce yourself. And like that's kind of the vibe like I get through listening to this entire song.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like starting at this song through the rest of the album, maybe not so much Give Me Love, but this song through Reborn, these are the songs that you want to like drive your car at night with your windows down in the summer and like
this
blast.
Is like that trend on TikTok. It's like, what's your 90 and a 35? All of these songs are my 90 and a 35. Yeah. I don't even
this run of songs.
And I'm like, no, but these are them.
You're like, I'm gonna rent a car to do this.
Yes.
Just for that. Funny, my boyfriend and I, like if we go to like Long Island or we go somewhere we need a car, we have like a list of albums from like the last time we rented a car, and I make the list and I'm like, all right, this came out since the last time, because we don't get to listen in a car often.
Yeah.
So it was like we rent a car like once every 3-4 months. Like it's rare, but I'm like, all right, this is what's come out. This is what we need to blast. Like this is our car driving playlist. And literally like I can't wait to hear Walk of Fame in a car. I'm so excited.
Oh my gosh.
It hits another
different
experience.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Lyrically, ironically enough, though it is my favorite, lyrically, there wasn't much for me to dissect on this one. This is very surface level in a good way, because I don't think it needs to be deeper than that. It's straightforward. She speaks directly to the idea of like, hey, my career is my career. I am cemented into pop culture. They were saying on that interview on the podcast, oh my gosh, every single album, like, she has a way of shifting culture like we don't see often. It is one in a million people who are able to do something and really shift. I mean, we all know where we were when she cut her hair. We all know where we were for the VMAs. We all know where we were. Like she has so many of those moments of like, oh my God, like there's like life before bangers and life after, or like the Dead Pets performance VMAs where everyone was like, what? And we were all like, yes. Like there's so many moments where like she really has shifted cultures. And I think like the idea of like you'll live forever, and like she is such like a pillar in pop culture that like her legacy is just going to be cemented in the Walk of Fame, you know, whatever that means to her. It's just there's not much to die into it other than I think she's just thinking about like she's in this really good place where she knows, hey, I am Miley Cyrus, and like I can brag about it. Like I'm allowed to be like, no, I am that bitch, and I have raised an entire generation. Like there was that Rolling Stone article that it was Brittany Spanos wrote. I loved this article, and she was saying like we're growing up in the Hannah Montana generation of pop music because we were all raised by her, and I'm like, we really are seeing such a crazy correlation to Miley, who is still releasing incredible bodies of work and doing all of these things and causing a ruckus everywhere she goes. Like, but we're now seeing the pop stars that she has raised, and like, Chappell Roan, Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter, who like Sabrina Carpenter entered the Miley World contest, and like Chappell literally is Hannah Montana. Like Chappell goes out without a wig and she's normal, and then she goes on stage. Like we're really seeing this like cementification of Miley Cyrus in pop culture, and I think this is exactly what this song serves to do. We don't need to dive into the lyrics first. Like it just is like, I'm a walk of fame everywhere I go.
Yeah. I was just on the streets of Chicago yesterday and I was walking through and there was people that were like soliciting for things like always. And, I'm just walking and I don't want to get involved, but I'm approaching these people and I'm coming up and they're like, oh, I love your outfit. This is a sidewalk, not a runway. And I looked at them and I said, I walk the concrete like it's a stage, bitch.
Boom. And you
did you actually say that?
Yes, I did. I said, this is my walk of fame, okay?
Obsessed. And that's what she wants. Like she's everywhere she goes, she is like that. And I'm like, I love that idea. Like walking down the street, listening to this, I'm like, boom, boom, boom,
Yes.
The Brittany Howard feature on
so
this.
badass.
So I was going to ask you, Andrew, did you even realize how much of her vocals was in this song?
No.
When you were watching the film?
Nope.
I didn't either. We didn't either.
Then, because people were like, isn't Brittany featured? I'm like, she's in it. Like, yeah.
No, literally.
And I'm like, oh no, she's fully on this song.
Yes.
But I will say the visual for this took me out. She looked unbelievable. And then I guess it's a spoiler for the movie because it's whatever, but I'll just whatever.
People have been talking about it.
Rolling around on Arnold Schwarzenegger's star. I was like,
crazy.
A
lot.
It's not just like once. Like it is very clearly on. And do you know how many stars there are on that Walk of Fame? I don't know. But there's a lot. But like I don't know the number. And I was like, oh, she went there. Like
that specific one.
Yeah.
So funny.
Us were on the floor.
That was one of the moments I remember in the theater, like an audible gasp. There was a lot of cheering and there was a lot of like, yes, mother, as us gays do, like being annoying as always. But that was like one moment I remember like a collective like shock of everyone being like, she fucking did it.
I was cackling. I was cackling.
And then like what's crazy about that, and obviously this wasn't planned because this was filmed a while ago, but like the night before at the Met Gala when we saw it, there's that picture of her walking past Patrick, and I'm like, oh, Patrick. And now that it was just so perfectly
the universe is crazy.
Us. No, truly. I was gagged.
I know.
And like despite her getting an infection, like I know that sucks, but like this visual truly to me, I was like, this is, again, I want that like pop girl Hollywood moment. Like I love that. This filled every need every want that I had for Miley. It was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you notice that they made an edit for this song to like a shorter version?
Oh, I didn't know.
Spotify. You kind of have to search for it, but if you search Walk of Fame, you'll see an edited version that's like 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
So
I think they're going to push it.
I listen. I'm an Apple Music. I wonder if it's the same. I'm sure. I'm gonna look. Let's see. Walk of Fame. Oh yeah, edit feature. Interesting. I'm gonna.
So I wonder if they're gonna push that to radio or not.
I hope so because this song. I feel like this could do so well. I literally just saved the edit to hear. That's interesting. Thanks for flagging that.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
I remember after watching it, my first thought is like, if Walk of Fame is not a single, like this is going to be the Violet chemistry of Something Beautiful that could have done so good on radio.
Yeah. I said on the episode after I did the screening, I was like, I'm telling you guys right now, there is a moment in this film that if it doesn't go viral, I will be shocked. I was like, I will put money on the fact that like once everybody is able to see this, like once it's on streaming more so and we can like clip it and screenshot it, I feel like that's going to be...
Is it this?
Yeah, this. Like, I think it's going to be like a thing because people are like, especially with Patrick being so big right now and buzzy with White Lotus, like, I was like, people are just going to eat it up. I hope. That's like and if I have to be the one to spearhead that campaign, I'll do it. Because I'm like, it's so gaggy to me. I'm obsessed.
Yeah. When you said that on your podcast, I was wondering if you were talking about this or if you were talking about Every Girl.
No, also could be could be, but no, I was like this, especially because I had, again, the universe is crazy because like had Patrick not been on the White Lotus so recently, I don't think people would know who he is. So household name.
Right. So much.
Plus everyone's realizing, oh my God, people don't know about them.
No.
It's like not regular information. And it was like a big relationship in her life, it was like a decent.
It was pretty public.
It wasn't Liam, but like, it was public. It was out, but it was like, it wasn't like then like again, it wasn't like people were like, oh my God, it's like two Hollywood stars, because Patrick wasn't really like a full name
He was still in
yet.
college.
Exactly. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
now I'm like, this is the perfect time for this to happen.
Yeah, she
No,
knows how to
so
cause
great.
controversy at some point.
Mhm.
And I
love
think she knows
Yeah.
that it gets attention.
Oh,
For
absolutely.
sure.
I love your note that says Liberty Walk walked, so Walk of Fame could run.
Period.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm obsessed.
It's like an elevated version.
Yeah, it's like the grown-up version, which again is so cool that we're
Yes.
able to see these kind of elevated and sister songs, so to speak, you know?
Yes.
I love
Yes.
it. Anything else on Walk of Fame before we go into Pretend You're God, which when I saw this name pop up during the film, I was like, oh
Kind of
shit.
controversial in
I know,
itself, I
was like,
guess.
oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah. So immediately, I mean, I think this is the most Dead Pet sounding song to me. It has
Immediately.
such that experimental and like it almost makes you uncomfortable in a good way.
Psychedelic.
And yeah, it's just so like it really like it takes you somewhere with this song. And like that title is so in your face. Like Pretend You're God is like it has that like God is a woman factor as Ariana, you know,
Yeah.
like it's like boom, it's there. Like you immediately know like you are clocked into this.
Mhm.
And kind of the idea of like Miley longing for a lost lover. It's very More to Lose, where like she's already
Right.
mourning somebody being out of her life, and it's the end of the world when somebody leaves her life. You know, it's like she sees a lover or a friendship or a relationship or a pet, whatever it may be. Like when something leaves her life, it is so crazy to her. You know, it really is like the world ends and it's the end of the world. So immediately with this, she's like, do you still love me? I've got to know. I pray that you're coming around again. She's like longing for this lover, this lost lover that she's seeing in, you know, her dreams, and she's hoping that they still love her and she wants to be with them. But if they don't want to be with her, she doesn't want to know, because she wants to live with these rose-colored lenses on. Like it's the same full rounded message. And I just love that she's able to take a whole different sound and still kind of apply that message.
Yeah, no, this one really, the first time hearing it and seeing it in the theater, like I think my hands were like over my face, almost similar to like the way that she is in the visual, but it was like tough to watch. It was tough
very
to
intense.
hear. I was like, it's intense. It's hauntingly like it's miserable. It's a song. I'm like, ow, Miley, that hurt me.
Yeah, and that's what I mean when it like it's uncomfortable to listen to, because like it has that like that wrong sound to it. Like it has that like against the grain,
dissonance.
that dead pet. Yes, thank you for using a correct English word. And I'm like, it just sounds wrong. I was DMing with Molly before we recorded, and I was like, I need to write things down, because I will just the camera goes on and everything in my brain goes out, and I'm like, I'm 30 years old and I can't form a sentence suddenly, and I'm like, this is not how I function.
No, I'm the same way. But Beckie knows.
Yeah. But yeah, this song has that like uncomfortableness to it that I think this album needs to kind of like shake it up a bit, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. I love this song. The visual, like Beckie said, in the theater was just very paralyzing to watch.
Yes, very.
Yeah,
it's just very intense.
Word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's intense. Which is intentional.
She like exits it with, I'm haunted. And I'm like, yeah, you are.
Same.
I am too.
Right. Yeah, we all are, girl. Yeah. So in the verse, she says, every night I see your face, it hits me like 1,000 trains. I kind of go back to the idea of the prelude, like an image of 1,000 trains, and what you pointed out about her therapy she went through. Like she's being chased by this idea of like she's on the train seeing his face every stop she goes to, or I think like living in New York, like on the subway, like seeing somebody every day, like on the train, you're like haunted by them kind of thing. She said, I don't want to wake up if you're gone. Again, longing for this person. She doesn't want to be awake in this world if you're not there, whether that means Tish being in Italy without her, whether that means her pufferfish dying. Like she doesn't want to be awake in a world where she is not without this person. And I do think with Miley, of course, these love songs are to be applied to a relationship, whether current or past, but like you can apply this to a person or a thing or a place. Her house that she lost, you know, that she has such like so many different ways that she can kind of apply these messages to her life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then again, kind of in the chorus we talked about, but she says, "Do you still love me? I gotta know. Never mind, just keep it quiet if you don't." She'd rather live in her own dreamland. She'd rather be in Wonderland, pretending like everything's fine. And yeah, we're good. Everything's fine. We can sit on the couch and watch TV and cry, and it's fine. Everything's gonna work out. I'm gonna hang on to this relationship as long as I can because I'm a traditional Southern woman. I'm going to fight until I literally cannot do it anymore. We just kind of keep seeing this idea, and she repeats the same lyrics over and over in this song, which makes me feel like she's almost stuck in her head going insane because she's singing like there's the verses obviously, but they're not that long. It's really the "Do you still love me? I gotta know" parts that kind of keep coming and coming and coming, and it makes me think of like almost like an anxiety attack where you're just hearing the same thing over and over, very like Out of the Woods Taylor Swift, where it has that like repetition to it. She keeps saying the same pre-chorus and chorus throughout the song, and then to end it with saying "I'm haunted." It's like, yeah, it sounds like it, girl. Like we can tell.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's so like the messaging in it, and the idea of like kind of like not always having the bridge or not always having the full rounded lyrics because like the song or the production or whatever can really speak for itself,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Love it. Moving on to the second to last track on the album is "Every Girl You've Ever Loved." The horns on this is so hypnotizing. It literally made me feel like I'm like floating, like I'm falling down the Wonderland, whatever, like kind of in the Prelude, that same idea. Like it just gives me, I get like fully wrapped up in this track right from the start.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
takes you in immediately. Like you're sat for this song.
Yeah, totally.
Commands your attention. Yeah.
Yeah,
Club
absolutely.
vibes. I want to be in a club immediately when I hear
Yes.
this.
Yes. It's
No, it takes me there. I am in a club when I hear this.
Yeah, literally,
True.
like those horns are like transporting me to a dance floor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so she's like getting ready for this night out, and she's gonna get what she wants, regardless of if that person wants it. Like she is going again to fight until she gets what she wants while she's going out tonight. And she says, "I can't believe you're still holding out for me like a dog in the street." This is clearly somebody who has been bringing her through the ringer and like making her jump through hoops and come out with me here, look like this, dress like this, do this, mold to how I want you. And she's still doing it. She's like, "I'm going to go out with you and I'm getting what I want tonight, whether it kills me."
Yes.
Yeah.
We move to the chorus, and I love the kind of call and response where she's like, "Am I pretty enough for more than for fun in the dark?" And then she kind of screams it. She's like yelling it. You
so
can
good.
tell she's like at a breaking point in this song where she's like, "I need to know, like, aren't I pretty enough to not just be your nighttime call? And like, who are you still holding on to in your heart?" She says, "You're looking for the one, but one is never enough," which I was like, ooh.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. That's
Like,
a heavy lyric.
Heavy lyric, and she knows it. This is the thing. She knows when this is the situation. She knows she's not the only one that is in this playing field with him, or this person, but she's still going back and she's like begging for it. It's like, I'm going to get what I want, even if I know I'm kind of playing the fool right now,
Yeah.
Yeah, these lyrics, this chorus
Yeah.
gagged me. And this is something that I could not hear the lyrics while we were in the theater for this specific song. Like, I don't know if it was the special production or just being in the theater, or that I was just like what I was seeing on screen was just so beyond that I couldn't focus. But this chorus kills me. It's insane. It's so good.
I had a similar thing with that, where like with the chorus, like I knew what the song was obviously about and like I understood the sentiment of it, but I had to read the lyrics for this was one that I wanted to have more than some of the other ones. Cause again, that the way she sings it and the way there's that call and response, also the whole visual element of her and Max and like everything. Like, wait, no, that's Reborn. Right? Yeah, I'm mixing up my visuals. No, I'm incorrect. Excuse me.
Naomi.
Yes. Thank you. With that, like there were just so much going on with this where I was like, what am I getting into? And then we have that entire breakdown where she's like strutting with Naomi and Naomi has the whole verse. And it's just like, there's so much happening.
Overload of like, of the production and then also the visuals, just overload.
Yeah, and like the fact that like they do this runway moment and they're just like strutting down and like it was just so unbelievable. Like watching that and like when they first showed Naomi's mouth, I was like, no, It's just like, it's just, but like, that mouth. Like if you're a pop culture person, you know who that is because that's all you see at first. So for everyone who hasn't seen it yet, in the visual, obviously Naomi Campbell is in this song and they're showing just her mouth saying the lines. And then it's not till her verse where they show her full body. So it's like, she's there, but we didn't know what was happening. And then she just has this like supermodel moment where she just, I mean, again, Miley Cyrus can sing. Naomi is stunning. Like we know these things, but it's just always breathtaking. And then that runway moment with the two of them where they're just like pumping it down in this warehouse.
Yes.
I just got the chills.
Me too.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I just remember everyone like gagging at this because we were like, there's no way. Like this is crazy. It was so good. And the lyric, she says, I turn you on and set your heart on fire. I give you every single color. Again, she's changing herself no matter what she has to do. If it's wearing white and younger now to make Liam fall in love with her, if it's being this person during Dead Pets because she's tripping on drugs or cutting her hair to shed Hannah and whatever, like for bangers, like she really is giving us every single color and is like giving us so much of different characterizations of herself. And she's like, why is it never enough? Almost, And I think looking at her discography and like Endless Summer Vacation tied to this, I think this is the most consistent, at least as it's been like album to album visually. Obviously, it's been a little step up recently, but like she could like what she's wearing on Endless Summer Vacation, she could wear for something like like the backyard session thing she did. Like she could wear one of those to an event for this. Like these are the most cohesive looks that we've had and like the longest kind of style moment. She's definitely a little edgier now, but like she was like teasing us, and she even said that Endless Summer Vacation was kind of edging us for what was to come with this album. So it's cool to see that like we're getting that kind of step up with it.
Yeah, totally agree.
Love it. Moving through, I like looking at it, I'm like, I can't believe I just mixed up the two visuals, but I think I was so thinking of Reborn so much of like what is to come with that visual that I was like so excited about it because this was
it's so good.
Stunning.
This is my favorite visual.
Stunning. The production is insane, the song is beautiful, but it is the visual of this song truly was like I was like, this is beautiful. And it totally depicts her vision of love,
Yeah. Yes. It's so intimate. Like I felt like I wasn't supposed to be watching what I was watching in the film because they were just so intimate with each other that I felt like, oh, should I be seeing this right now?
Yeah, they're like laying in bed together. They're all over each other.
And they're kind of private,
Right. Yes. I was shocked to even see. I knew he was obviously a huge part of this album and everything. But like once he made that appearance, I was like, oh my God, like, whoa. And I don't think she's ever put a partner in a music video.
No,
ever.
We've never seen this.
Yeah.
Liam didn't get that.
No.
Yeah.
After all the years they were together.
Right. So many years. It's like, it's nice to see that she's kind of in this place with her love life and her relationship that she is so willing to like be all encompassing with Max,
Yeah. She's so comfortable.
And she can really like be herself in it, So lyrically, the song, she says, if I break away any bodies between us, would you promise that I'm enough if I give you all of my love? Again, back to that idea of her having so much love in her to give and giving all of herself in a relationship. It's a common theme through this album, through her life that we see. And, she's like, would you promise that I'm like, am I enough? Are you going to love me through no matter what? And paired with the visual of her and Max and being so in love. And, it's so thinking of flowers and thinking of her past relationships to see where she's at now and to be able to be reborn into this kind of era of love. It's a beautiful thing to see,
For sure.
Yeah. And just the production of this is also just insane.
Totally. I think the production for this speaks for itself. Like the production, the lyrics, everything is beautiful, of course, but the production of this song, it's really like the main character. It brings it to life. Yeah. And like she's saying, like, if heaven exists, I've been there before, kill my ego, let's be reborn. Playing with this idea of like spirituality and heaven and pretending somebody is God and angels like you. And, it's like she really does kind of put her lovers in this holy, I hate to even talk about like religious stuff ever on the podcast, but it's like she puts them in this like worship almost, where like that is her world, and we see that over and over in the way she kind of depicts these lovers. And it's like, to be loved by Miley Cyrus has got to be like the most loved anybody's ever felt.
Yeah, no, for real.
And I love the way it kind of slows down for the bridge and then it explodes back. Like she really like strips it back and it kind of like, not to obviously like get into the idea of like what the visual is, like where they're like laying together and they're all over each other and they're getting intimate. It's like
Yes.
that idea of like, that is what intimacy is. You know, it has like, it's fast and then it's slow and then it's fast and then it's slow.
Yeah.
And again, it's like not to get the parasocial and like think about them like that, because obviously that's insane. But you think of like this song is about being reborn and like wanting to be a whole new person for this person and being so in love. It was just beautiful. Like it was such a gorgeous way to see their relationship kind of come to life in a way we've never seen Miley do before.
Yeah.
And I know
And it
you
was
said,
really nice, even like when we were there at the premiere, when she was like, "Yeah, and I got to show you my relationship on screen." I was like, "Oh,
yeah, it
Yeah.
was really sweet. And then I see this note you said, which is the song represents how she sees her career fleshing out in the next few years.
Yeah, she's brought up this song before in this interview, and she said that the way she sees herself pushing out music in the next album that she's actually already started teasing about. She said she's already started working on it, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
She said she wants it to be pushed out differently so that there's not as much pressure
Yeah.
on. I think her doing this film added a lot of pressure for it to be commercially successful,
Yeah.
which is why she's probably doing so much promo.
Right.
But she sees it as like a rebirth of her career.
Totally. And
She ties
I
it
think
to the song.
we see that a lot on this album, like Walk of Fame, where she's like, no, I am Miley Cyrus, and everywhere I go, it's a Walk of Fame. And
Yes.
we're young, but we're growing up. She's not saying I used to be young anymore. She's like, no, I'm still young. I have a whole new lease on my career, on my life, and like I'm nowhere near done. We're like, a few years ago, I could see her being like, maybe I am kind of towards the end of the road. You know,
I
she
know.
was dealing with her substance abuse issues and she was in such a toxic runaround relationship with whoever, you know, as it all came. And, you know, she was in a dark place for a while. And like, though she still did give us a lot of music and a lot of herself, like there was a lot. I can't imagine like what was going on behind the scenes. She shares so much with us, but like that we don't know, and like the things that she struggled with. So to see her kind of having this rebirth, not just with love, but with her career
Yeah.
and her music and her fans. I feel like she's always been so great to her fans. And spoiler, I'm going on their podcast next week and we're going to talk about kind of like my experience with Miley over the years, because I've had a lot of really cool experiences with her.
Yes.
And she's always been so great to her fans. And I've met her tons of times, and every time she's nothing but nice. But like this time it just feels like she's so in it with us, and she's like
Yes.
wants us to be so a part of it more than it ever has been. I don't know how to explain it, but it just feels
No,
so
for
much
sure.
more like she's like, I'm giving you everything of myself on a platter, and I know she trusts us with it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love this era that we're in. I love everything she is doing. I love that it's just like it's for her, but she's also like knows what we want and she's giving it to us, whether the general public likes it or not. Like this is for us, you know?
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's just like the most special part of it.
Absolutely.
The end of Reborn is
Yes.
like the most beautiful transition into the conclusion of this album.
Yes, totally. It really, and I caught myself. I said that Ever Go I've Ever Loved was second to last track, but obviously that's third to last. But because Give Me Love feels like where Prelude feels like it's the opening act, Give Me Love, and though it is quite literally where the
Yes.
credits roll, it does feel like the perfect way to like close it, which is why in my mind I'm like, Give Me Love is obviously an album track, but to me it feels like the end, a theatrical end. But yeah, the way that this ends and kind of wraps up, kind of like what Molly was saying earlier, where like this four songs starting with what is it, like Walk of Fame into however, or Golden Burning Sun into the next four, like they feel like kind of a package. And then Give Me Love just like perfectly ends it and kind of like it almost like settles the chaos that we just heard. You know,
Yeah.
we heard a lot on this album, and like you said, the way that this song, that Reborn, ends and goes into Give Me Love, it really kind of gives us that last like big whatever, and then Give Me Love just kind of like eases us out of it, you know?
Similarly to Golden G String on Plastic Hearts.
Yes.
It's like a good album closer.
Totally. Yeah. It really kind of just like puts the bow on top. It gives us, you know, the vocals and it's fun and whatever, but it just gives us like a nice little way to kind of like ease out of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think that this is the most beautiful song, and go ahead and get into the lyrics because they're so good.
Yeah, so I think this is the perfect way to end this. And I love the way
Mhm.
it kind of reflects back on the entire album. So she says in the first
Yeah.
verse, I imagine a place at the dawn of creation, a cityscape we paint in the dark. There's a castle between this obscene blue horizon where golden apples hang in the trees and a bear lady sings. Behind the curtain, heaven awaits. Again, she's building this fantasy land and this world. And like, to me, it's almost like this, and kind of the idea of her like already making her next album. Like, she's already looking at what's next. And like, she just destroyed, when you look at this album, she just destroyed where her life. Like, she just destroyed,
Yeah.
the world just ended. Literally, like
Yeah.
everything burned, everything is burning, and she is still singing about give me love. And she's already looking at this next wonderland and fantasy that she's making. You know, she's looking
Uh-huh.
ahead at like, yep, everything's burning around me, but I'm thinking of a place where there's a cityscape and a castle, and the lady's gonna sing, and like it's gonna be beautiful because I'm with my lover and because I have this love, you know? She's like going
Mhm.
into that idea of like, I'm making my next fantasy land and leaving this behind, which obviously is kind of the message of the album of her, like everything burning around her, but still being in love. So she's fine. But she's literally in her life right now, already has what, like 7 songs for the next album? I'm like,
Yeah.
baby, the album's not even a month old yet. What do you
I
mean?
know.
I know. She loves to do that though.
She does. Yeah, she always does. But I thought that was a really beautiful way to kind of remind us that, like, hey, yeah, I'm insane. Like, I'm already working on the next thing. You know, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful way to paint that picture. The chorus is just heavenly. I mean,
Yeah.
just it's just like effortless. It feels like a feather almost.
Mhm.
It's just so light and like kind of a different sound than we get from her usually, which I really hearing it in the theater, and it is
Yeah.
where the credits are rolling. So there's not too much to really look at for this. There's obviously the visuals going on the side, but it's not like a full embodied thing. There's like credits rolling while it's happening.
Right.
But that it's just like so pleasant to hear that like give me love, give me, you know, like over and over. Like it just has like a nice, beautiful way to end it. And I love
Yeah.
that chorus. Um
Yes.
and then kind of wrapping it up with that second verse, she says, there's a tower that's made of risque, rude temptation. My lovers lay with boundaries erased once you get past the gray. Behind the curtain, terror awaits. She keeps saying that, like, behind this curtain, terror awaits. And it
Mhm.
makes me think that, like, she's almost warning us, like, hey, you're seeing what I'm giving you. I'm allowing you in for this much of my life, but I have this much of my life that's happening that you don't see. You can come along with me, whether it's us as a journey, as a fan, or a lover, or a new friend, or somebody. She's like, just so you know, like you're seeing this fantasy land that I'm putting up behind the curtain. There's a lot that you don't see, and there's a lot of shit that I've gone through. People dying, pets dying, places burning down, being cheated on, being a, you know, whatever it may be, like being in all these situations that she's been in. Like she's like, I have a lot of baggage and I work through it and I do it, but like what you're seeing is just what I'm allowing you to. And it reminds us like she's a human being. She's not just
Yeah.
this mega pop star.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just a very heavenly song, very spiritual.
Totally. And then she just ends it saying like saying goodbye to earthly delights while my perfect Eden goes down in flames. Again, the imagery of the world is ending, but she's fine. She's at peace with it. She's flying away into the sunset, into the golden burning sun. And she's like encouraging it. She's like, I'm eaten alive by the mouth of a monster while fearlessly calling out your name. She's literally saying, I am being eaten alive, but I'm still going to be my last word is going to be my lover's name. Like I am screaming out for you, even in my last breath. You are who I'm calling for. Like she's such a lover. It's just that's
It
Yes.
is. Yeah.
throughout. I'm like, I keep
And-
saying it, but she really just has a beautiful way of saying it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the last line you hear from the whole album. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I really love. At first, I was like, man, I wish we had one more verse of this song. Like it kind of felt abrupt to me as the ending, but now I've really come to appreciate just how she's just like, that's it.
Bye, done.
But it
Yeah.
was but in the most beautiful and I think this is the perfect way to end this album.
I could not
It's
agree
just so
more.
stunning. Yeah.
I think sonically, lyrically, everything about it just,
Yeah.
again, it kind of, because it doesn't have any really of that like chaotic, abrupt changes to it. It's
Yeah.
I hate to say it's simple, but when you look at a track like Something Beautiful, where it's 18 different melodies and key, and you know,
Yeah.
it's like when you look at this song, it is kind of just follows like a one track kind of idea. You know, it's a beautiful melody and the music and everything is very light and airy. And compared to the rest of the album, I think this kind of does leave you at ease. And like, though you did just kind of go through an uneasy listening experience in a good way, like it really brings your ears through so many different journeys. This kind of is like, but don't forget, like, everything's fine. The world is ending.
Yeah.
But everything's okay. And I love that that's
Yeah.
always the message, that silver lining. You end up in Malibu and you're fine.
There we
Yes.
are.
And that's
Ugh.
the album. What an album. I'm obsessed. I
What
really
an
am
album.
obsessed with this album.
No, truly, this
No,
is
me
a
too.
no skips album, including all of the interludes. Like, I'll
Absolutely.
sit and listen to the whole thing. The
Yeah.
squad of ludes is what we like to call them.
I love that.
The
That's
Ludes.
so fucking funny. I love that.
I'm glad you think so, because we think we're the funniest people ever.
No, literally, like, that's why I think we all get along, because like I'll be like recording sometimes, and obviously I record by myself pretty like more often than
Yeah.
I'm recording to other people, and I'll like make a joke and like laugh, and I'm like, should I edit myself laughing at myself out? And I'm like, no, I'm keeping it in because
Nope,
it was funny.
I'm hilarious.
like,
No,
no, I'm the
literally.
funniest person ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's us. Nobody laughs harder at our jokes than we do.
No, literally.
Yeah.
My Instagram bio is, I think it still should be, I think it's literally the funniest person I've ever met. Like, that's literally in my bio, because I'm like, at least you
Yes.
get it, you know, from the jump, like, I'm gonna laugh at every joke I make, and you should as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that.
I love it. So that wraps up Something Beautiful by Miley Cyrus. And so I figured to round out this episode, we could go through our top 3 tracks. We don't have to go into why or anything, because we just talked about why, but just go
Yeah.
through our top 3 tracks. And also, if we want to throw in our favorite visual,
Sure.
Okay.
do you want me to go first? Do you guys want to go?
Sure. You can go.
All right, so I'll kick it off. My top 3 tracks: Walk of Fame, absolutely number 1, without a doubt. Then Every Girl You've Ever Loved, I'm obsessed with. I just love it. My third track, I was looking at the list, and there's so many that I wanted to put there, but similar to what I said at the top of the episode, where the reason I think this is the why is End of the World, just because I think it encompasses the album so perfectly. So those are my top 3.
Yeah.
And like I said, my favorite visual is Walk of Fame.
I love it.
Yes.
My top 3. Yeah. Also, I feel like it was hard to pick, especially like number 3. But number 1, Every Girl You've Ever Loved. Just the
Mhm.
chorus of that is just like, Reborn is number 2, and then Easy Lover is my
Mhm.
third favorite track. However, my favorite visual is More to Lose. I think that there's never been a time where Miley Cyrus has looked more beautiful, and I'm
Mhm.
obsessed
Yeah.
with the 3 characters that are in it.
Yeah, it's fun the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
she plays around with that, for sure.
Yeah.
My number 1 is Reborn. Also, Reborn serves as my favorite visual too.
Mhm.
And then Pretend You're God would be number 2. And then number 3 is Every Girl You've Ever Loved.
I love that we all
course.
have Every Girl You've Ever Loved in our ranking.
It's
but
just,
Because
all of
it's
us,
just too good.
but like you have Becky has it at number 1, I have it at number 2, and then Molly number 3. Like, it still made it in its way
Incredible.
somehow, and it's
Yeah.
ranked somewhere for all of us. I love that. It's just too good. How could it not
It's
be?
so
it.
good.
I love it. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for coming on. This was so much fun.
Oh my
Like
Thank you
I
for having
said,
us.
Yes.
of course, I am recording an episode with them next week. We're recording, so that should be out.
Yes.
I'm assuming a week or 2, whenever after we do it.
Yeah, I think it'll be that. I think it'll be that week.
Okay,
we'll be
perfect.
recording on
We record Monday, right? I think?
Monday.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then it'll be posted Thursday.
Okay, perfect. So that will be out next week. This is coming. I'm going to post this literally tomorrow, because there
Okay.
wasn't much to edit. So this will be out tomorrow when everybody is listening to it. Everyone, make sure you go check out Talk Miley to Me podcast. It is fabulous.
Yes.
Do you want to plug your socials really quick?
Yeah, so we're you just search Talk Miley to Me podcast. I think on Instagram it's at Talk Miley to Me podcast. And then on TikTok at Talk Miley to Me. But search us, you'll be able to find us. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X, I guess is what it's called.
Yeah.
And we're also on YouTube. We post our podcast not only on like Apple and Spotify, but also YouTube. And then we'll post like fun vlogs and stuff on there.
I
as
just
well.
watched the Something Beautiful one this morning. I was like, oh, this is so cute. I love that you guys worked together for it.
Yeah.
For the release week.
Yes. Yep.
Well, we did it for the New York City trip.
Yes,
We wanted
yep.
to vlog that experience. And then we're like, let's just do it every time we see each other, I
Why
guess.
not? Yeah. Content is content. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you guys again so much for coming on. Like I said, I will be on theirs next week. If you want to find me on socials, I am at 2pop to handle across all platforms. And I will chat with you guys on Wednesday this week, because I'll have my regular episode as well. So you guys get double dose of 2pop to handle this week.
Wow.
I
Lucky
know.
them.
Big week over here. Happy Pride. I'm really just working away.
Yes. Yes.
But yes, thank you guys again so much. Everyone go stream Something Beautiful. It is in theaters this week. This week? Yeah, this week it'll be out. I'm going Thursday night. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Get your tickets, go stream the album. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.